Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Calgary real estate market update for August. I'm going to take you through a couple of headlines here at the national level and talk a little bit about what's been happening in the municipal level, and then we're going to dive into all the sales data from the July numbers. So let's first jump into what's making the news nationally, and one of the biggest things I think that's hit the news waves in this last month has been the two successive reductions in the key lending rate from the Bank of Canada. So we've now seen we recently had a quarter point reduction, 0.25% in the key lending rate, 2 in a row. We're now down at 4.5% is the key lending rate, and so this is making its way around all the financial analysts and the media around the country. And they've got their takes on this. And the one that I liked the best was CIBC's, who said 2 in a row with more to go. And I happen to believe that as well, that we're likely to see further decreases in the key lending rate. I think that'll be much more likely than any increases or even staying where we're at right now. And this is not only to help buyers qualify for mortgages and bring more transactions into some of the markets in Canada that have been hit a little bit harder than Calgary, but also to make it easier to finance construction of new units, because if you reduce the key lending rate, then it costs less to borrow to build. And so we're hoping to improve the economics for the development community and get more houses built with a bit more affordability on the supply side. Locally, we've got the Green Line LRT, some big news on this. So City Council voted recently here this month to chop the scope in half. And rather than go all the way down to Seaton and 130th Avenue, we're now stopping at the Ogden Millican station. Still going to cost $6.3 billion, but we're not going all the way down south. And so this is attracting some interest, obviously, from those that have been following the Green Line as we've just been trying to get it going and just seems to never really get any momentum. So there's this group here, the Rethink the Green Line Committee, a bunch of smart people, some ex-engineers on there. And they're saying, hey, look, we need to look at the alignment here. We're planning on tunneling underground through the downtown to reduce traffic congestion down there. But they think that it's going to just add so much cost and risk to the scope on account of all of the water coming from both the Bow River and the Elbow River. And the risk associated with all of that. So this is just going to mean we're going to be revisiting all of this stuff and looking at it again. And now you're going to have all the funding that's available for this have to go through another set of reviews. So not good news for Calgarians that have been waiting for this Green Line, and particularly not good news for anybody living south of Ogden that was counting on having a train station coming through. Now you're going to have to wait for the second phase to see that go through, unfortunately. We also, I thought, recovered quite well from the water main break that we had happen here. So we're back now. Most of the water restrictions have been removed. But the city's going to have to go through a practice review for how this was handled by the engineering regulator for all of Alberta. So they want to come in and look at the processes that was done here. And I think this is a good check on the municipal services group for the city here to ensure that we're not only looking at what happened here, but we're looking at other parts of the line, because surely if it happened in one place, it could happen in others with these pipes being built in the 70s. So I thought that was good news to see, and we'll wait to see what comes out of this. It's not an investigation, so it's not super serious. I just want to take a look at what was done, and I think that's good news. We also have now more news related to the blanket rezoning. So City Hall is now going to have to fight city homeowners because there's this lawyer and about 288 people, maybe we'll hit 400, that are suing the city, saying, you didn't listen to us. So this is the lawyer's words here. He says, I'm concerned because city council is tone deaf, and it just pisses me off when we have elected officials that aren't prepared to listen to Calgarians. And so this is despite the longest ever public engagement session that was ever been had at City Hall in Calgary. Over 2 weeks and 700 people came forth. And so for this guy to now say, we're going to sue you because you didn't listen to us despite all of that, I just don't think that this is going anywhere from this. And then he says, the reason is they want to be able to kill a project. That's what these homeowners want to do. They want the old way where the developers had to fight to get the zoning to make something, rather than the zoning being there. Now the onus being on the residents to come up with a reason to quash it. And he says, even though you still can complain, you still can have a say. It's just a little bit easier for developers now to do this. And so I'm not a fan of stuff like this, if in case you can't tell. And this is a part of the reason why our housing market is in such rough shape, because it's not just Calgary that's like this. All right. So this is the Minto CEO, the largest developer in all of Canada. He was interviewed this month regarding the housing mess and that it defies the laws of economics. And so Michael Walters, the CEO of the Minto Group, is saying our supply curve in Canada is very inelastic, which means we can't add more supply to meet all of the increased demand, in contrast to a traditional good or service where, you can build more. People want more, give them more, right? But we would like to do that in Canada, but we can't. And so he had a point here where we said that despite all the demand that we have right now, the supply curve has barely moved. We can't add more houses any faster for a litany of reasons. And he said that the record for housing starts in a single year was way back in 1976, almost 50 years ago. Can you believe that? And that's crazy to me. And he was asking the reasons for this. And the first thing out of his mouth is regulation, which he says has become slower, less predictable, and more expensive to navigate. All right. So he's just saying that there's just too many rules and red tape to get anything built now. So when you have homeowners now launching lawsuits and causing additional reviews, this is exactly what he's talking about, where if everybody gets a say, then we're going to spend more time talking than we're going to spend building, and we're not going to be able to add the supply that's needed to provide affordable housing for the current generations of Canadians that are entering their peak working years and want to build a family for their home, or build a home for their family rather. And to say nothing of future generations of Canadians where the economics are just going to be completely skewed due to the increased demand that we've had and the inability to add supply to meet that demand. So I'm in favor of less regulation and less red tape and adding more supply. And we're going to see how this plays out, I guess. So let's look a little bit at the stats here now. So a bit of an interesting month. Last month in June's data set, July's market update, the average price was $608,000, up 8.5% from last year. In August, this month, we've gone down in pricing by $1,300 to $606,700. Still nearly an 8% gain from this time last year, but we've come down a little bit in pricing from where we were last month. And you can see here from this graph, we expect this to kind of happen. It's been like that, but now it's happening again. So we came out of the gate really hot in January, and saw most of our gains in the first 4 months of the year. And in the last 4 months here, so we've not had a lot of give in our pricing picture, only a few $1,000s. So in April, it was $603,000 was the average price. Now it's $606,000. So we've seen our gains for the year here. I'm not expecting them to have a huge, big effect. If we've seen 2 reductions in interest rates and not a ton more sales here this month, I don't think we're going to see that for the balance of the year. And you can see the sales picture here now has started its seasonal reduction in sales, which is exactly what we saw this time last year. There's a few less sales now than there were last year, but we're following our traditional seasonal selling cycle. You can see here the numbers from July to August kind of echo that. What was interesting, though, is that we've got more listings this year relative to where we were at last year, and that's showing up in the months of supply data. So 2.5 months worth of supply is considered a balanced market. And we've been well under that for well over a year, as long as I've been tracking this particular metric independently of CREB. And the 1.75 months worth of supply is the closest we've been to balanced market conditions for over a year and a half. Still in seller's market conditions, but you can see here we're getting less sales relative to the amount of inventory being added. So if you were a buyer, you might think, okay, I've got reductions in interest rates happening right now. The supply is getting added. It's becoming more of a balanced market. Maybe this is good news for me. Well, not so fast, because you got to dig a little bit deeper to find out what's driving these numbers. And then you need to look at the price ranges where this inventory is being added. Okay, so CREB tracks the supply that's added according to several different pricing bins. I got 8 of them here, and 3 of the top 4 bins of inventory are above the average sale price for real estate here in Calgary. Okay, so you can see up here at the top end, this is where we've got a lot of inventory. And if you look over at the sales for above 700 to 1,000 and a million plus, so you've got just under 500 sales for between 700,000 and a million. And if you look at the overall inventory, you're just below 1,000 on that. Okay, so closer to 2 months worth of supply for above 700,000 and before a million. Now, if you look at the inventory here for above $1 million, we've got over 600 houses were on the market here in July. That's the third highest inventory price range in all of the bins that are being tracked here. But if you look at the number of sales, it's well under 200. So you've got over 600 listings, and you've got less than 200 transactions. So if you're a buyer in the million plus range, it's a buyer's market for you right now, a considerable one actually, with over 3 months worth of supply. So it's the supply being added at the upper end of the market that is skewing these metrics, and is important to take note in that. So if you're looking at the more affordable price ranges, so 400 to 500, we've got just under 300 sales, 500 to 600, just over 300 sales. If you come over here and look at the inventory, we've got barely over 400 for both of those two categories. So much closer to that 1 month worth of supply, barely over that. So nothing has changed in that part of the market where most of the buyers tend to want to be. And that's where we really need some inventory to make a considerable difference to that. So adding some supply would be good, or more people bringing their properties to market would be good for all of that too. So that's our update here for August. I hope that you found it informative. I hope you're enjoying our summer. We had a record stampede this year, and the weather's been really nice here in Calgary this summer. And so we're looking forward to coming back in the fall. It's always an exciting time in our industry when everyone comes back from holidays. Sort of breathes a little bit of life into our industry for the fall season. So if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, we would love to help you out. Feel free to reach out to us here at Redline Real Estate. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you guys next month.